this something you edit afterwards?
No, we do live editing with all of it. It goes straight through. That's one of the cool things about the way this thing's set up. I really.
Are we going live now?
Yeah, we're live, baby.
Oh.
We're in the hot seat.
Dude, I have to tell my friends to tune in.
Yeah. No, we're not streaming live.
Oh, okay.
We're just already recording. Okay. We're here today, folks, with Carl Oligny. Oligny? Is that how you say that? Yeah. Carl is a familiar face, showed up in the Atlanta music scene about 3 years ago and has been a permanent fixture ever since. Every show I know I can expect you to be there. Yep. And like on our way in just now, getting to talk to each other a little bit, I was like, hey, what are you doing afterwards? Carl's like, 3 shows I might go to. That is about as awesome as it gets. That one's good. No, it is that one. You're right. So
yeah, and you know my biggest problem is always who am I not going to see?
Yeah, well, in Atlanta we have those opportunities. There's so much going on and so many opportunities to see shows. Put that one in right there. Tapes you up right back in. Hit the button on the side one time. Other side. Technical difficulties. Story of my life. I'm sure you've been through it a while. You go firing back up. All right, there it goes. Sorry about that. So have you always attended concerts this religiously?
No. It's actually been in about the last 4 or 5 years. And believe it or not, I used to go to a lot of blues festivals because I was big on blues.
Yeah.
And that was about 90% of what I did was blues shows. And 5, 6 years ago, I stumbled upon Imagine Fest, which was...
Oh, yeah, and that's a sight to see, especially if you don't know what you're going into.
The second one, and I had just heard through Radio Paradise, an internet radio station, I had heard 2 bands, Infected Mushroom and Younger Brother. And I just loved these guys. And the DJ, who was Younger Brother, Simon Posford from the UK, had a couple other acts. One of them was Spungle.
Okay,
and
yeah.
They played at the second Imagine Fest there by the old Masquerade.
Yeah, I think I worked. That was one of my first experiences with that event too. That was a wild one.
Yeah. So I went, and up until that time, when I would go to shows, I would, typical concert goer, I guess. I would go, I would see, I would look, I would leave. I wouldn't meet the first person, right?
Right.
And I went to that one, and I can't tell you how many people I met simply because I was the old guy there.
Yeah,
in that real young crowd. And the energy, though, the music and everything just really got to me.
Well, and that's the thing, especially with rock and roll crowds. Everybody's really excited to see someone a little older enjoying this, because obviously it's not typical that an older gentleman's at a death metal show or a rave or any of that stuff. It's what sparked it after that, and just really enjoyed it. Is that
just really a number of coincidences, like I see on the wall here, Slaughter Q.
Yeah, I
went to the one about 3 years ago at the new Masquerade, the one where they had it outside, and Tommy was there from Black Doomba Records, the guys from Joe Mills. What is his band?
Dayglow Morning.
Dayglow Morning. They were there, and I can't tell how many other bands were there that I had seen at one time or another, but then at that time, I actually met these guys.
They took the time to say hello. And
yeah. And I remember meeting Jordan Daniel from Strike First, and I got a picture at that.
Actually, I seen that picture because I was going through all our Slaughter Q stuff and tags and stuff, and I seen that picture. Yeah. And that was one of the first times I said, who is this older guy with this punker? It's you, looking like, hey, thumbs up, and then Jordan there with his foot-tall mohawk.
Yeah, Jordan on one side of me and Zach on the other. Their hair's, going to the sky, and here's old bald me, but that's okay. I don't mind.
Well, no, I've seen on the occasion you catch you on the right day, he might catch you with a mohawk, too.
Yeah, I've done that.
So at this point, how many shows do you think you attend on average in an average month here? Because just local shows, because I know you travel a lot for shows as well.
Yeah, but I mainly do local, and I like the small venues. let's see, on an average week, Saturday 2 or 3, Friday 2 or 3, so that's 6, maybe 10 a week.
Man, you're putting it in. You are a
Yeah.
very prolific attendee of shows in the scene, and
Yeah.
I mean, we love you and we need you. We need more people like that. It's very cool that you're that into it. I don't know any people half my age that are into it that much
Yeah.
less have the stamina to go do all that.
And it's something I just feel so fortunate because how good is it when you can do what you love to do?
Oh,
Right?
you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I truly love it. And I love supporting the bands and, buy their merch. I'll buy their T-shirts. My closets are running out of space because I got about 260 band shirts now.
Yeah, that's the story of my life. And you think back on once, and then wait till they start disappearing randomly. Maybe that might not be a thing for you, but they just walk away from me. I've probably got 400 shirts right now, but 400 of them are gone.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, if they've got CDs, I'll buy their CDs or I'll throw, $5 or $10 into the tip jar. Because, many of these guys they're just getting by.
Oh, no, yeah.
But at the same time, they are doing it for the love of the music. Because if they didn't love it, they wouldn't be doing it.
No, it's one of my favorite Zakk Wylde quotes I seen him say one time was, "You better love rock and roll because it don't always love you back." Yeah. That's the truth. With as much of the shows that you attend, do you listen to a lot of heavier stuff or newer stuff in your spare time?
I do, but like I say, I buy the CDs. But when I play the CDs either on my car or at home or something, I just don't get that same feel because it's not that energy.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree.
Crowd. But, recently I through my 45-year-old son, Jason, I heard a band I hadn't heard before, Pierce the Veil.
Yeah, I'm
And
familiar with them.
the song Past the Nirvana, and I just love the hell out of that. Went on one of my playlists.
Oh, right on.
And I think they're going to be a Blue Ridge Rock Fest in September, so I hope to see them in September in Virginia.
That Blue Ridge Rock Fest is such an amazing event, and it seems like it's so well done, and it grew so fast too. Have you attended one of those already?
I went last year. I was a little disappointed, but not in the acts or anything, but the logistics.
I remember hearing people discuss that and saying things, but that's one of those things as an aspiring promoter and putting stuff like that on that many people, just getting them in period is a feat. So I understand people want to see.
Yeah, because the first day I got there, I had to wait in line, I think 2 to 3 hours just to catch a shuttle bus to get to the venue, which was like maybe 8-10 miles away.
Well, what type of venue was it? Was it just a field or was it an Air Force base or something? There's so many of them down there confused in your head.
It was a lot of just open fields, rolling hills. But one of the things, two of the bands that I really wanted to see, one was, here goes my mind. I'll think of it. But there were two local bands I wanted to see. Who's the big guy? Death metal guy.
Here in Atlanta?
Yeah.
Probably Taylor, Left to Suffer.
There you go.
Yeah.
He played, so I definitely wanted to see them.
Did you get to catch their set?
I did.
Man, those guys, that's another one, just like I said, how fast they've popped up and come. It's such an exciting ride to watch that going down, too. Yeah,
but then to catch the shuttle back, I had heard the people that were there on Thursday night, they had to wait up to 3 hours to catch a shuttle back to their cars.
Oh, wow. And how far away were the cars from the venue? I mean,
it was more than a walk. It was a few miles.
Yeah, because I know we have a few venues up on the north side, like Alpharetta. I can't remember the name of that venue. Is it Verizon or something like that? Yeah, I've had to shuttle there before, and it's never been any 3-hour waits. Yeah. But I can imagine that really.
But this year, I have good friends who had me join them in their RV, their motorhome at Welcome to Rockville.
Yeah.
And they extended the invitation to Blue Ridge.
So you feel that's the way to do it?
So I'll be there, in their motorhome right on site.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that does sound like the way to do it.
Yeah. And so, I'm looking forward to that. A couple of the acts there, Pantera and Slipknot, but I just saw them at Welcome to Rockville.
How was Pantera?
Really liked them, but I loved Slipknot.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Pantera will be here in Atlanta really soon. September, I think they're going to be here.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. Just a longtime Pantera fan, and it's not the same. Everybody's voiced their opinions on it and back and forth, and at this point, I'm glad it's happening. I'm excited to go see it. But what I'm really excited about, although the wind did get knocked from my sails, Power Trip Festival in California. Did you see that lineup?
Yeah.
It's a 3-day event with only 2 acts per day, and they're headliners each day: Metallica and Iron Maiden, AC/DC and Ozzy Osbourne, Guns N' Roses and Tool. Those are the 3 days.
And I've seen them all except for Guns N' Roses.
I've seen everyone except for AC/DC. And Ozzy, unfortunately, had to drop off the bill. They've replaced him with Judas Priest. That's going to rock. But I am a diehard Ozzy fan till the end. The reason I put festivals on, I attended Ozfest when I was a kid and was like, this is it. This is what I want to do. And Ozzy's canceled so many shows and been in such bad health over the last couple of years. As soon as those tickets went on sale, me and one of my partners, we bought great tickets, flights, everything, and then Ozzy had to drop off. So now I'm waiting to hear whenever he's going to pop something off in Europe because I'm going to go. I'm not going to miss. I've seen Ozzy probably 20 times. Same thing, Slipknot, Lamb of God. Some of these, but those bands just you can't get enough of.
Yeah. Well, last time I saw Ozzy was at Welcome to Rockville several years ago. It's when I was in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And he was not at his best.
Yeah, a group of my friends, I had a broken leg at the time, so I didn't get to attend, and I really wanted to go, and I regret that I didn't because that's the last opportunity we've really had to see him here on the East Coast.
And I remember Billy Idol was on that same bill, and I just looking at him and going, please, Billy, put your shirt back on. You know?
I thought the same thing. We had Project Paps Festival here in Atlanta. I got a poster around here somewhere. I can't remember what year. Maybe it's 2016, 17. But they closed down the East Atlanta Village.
Yeah.
Run the Jewels played. Mastodon played.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Peaches played. And then Iggy and the Stooges played.
Yeah,
so,
I'd love to see them.
And Iggy, he still has it. But when he takes that shirt off, same thing. You're going, oh, boy. I didn't know people could melt like that.
Yeah. But, you know, at Rockville later, Dave Grohl invited, here we go again. Who was I just talking about? Took a shot.
Billy
out. Yeah, he invited Billy up on stage with him to sing along with them.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they were terrific.
It's always cool seeing Dave Grohl do that. That's one of my favorite things about him. He loves to bring people up on stage, whether or not they're fake or not. Some of the fan interactions. Have you seen some of those? Like Kiss Guy, I think they called it. The guy had face makeup on, holding a sign.
Yeah,
I've heard people say, "Oh, it's set up, it's pre-set up." Well, even if it is, it's still cool.
Oh yeah,
it's a hell of a performance and fun. What have been some of your most memorable performances you've seen over the years?
Well, you know, two that come to mind, I've told this story I don't know how many times. Lollapalooza, Orlando, 1992. I took my sons, who at the time were 11 and 13, and I took one of their friends along with them.
Was that the first year of Lollapalooza?
I think it was the second.
Okay, yeah.
And Rage and Tool played the side stage. They were incredible. They were my favorite bands.
Oh, and that was right in the peak of their prime right there. In that
no, that's when they were just getting going, 92. Yeah. They were pretty much unknown, and I was just blown away, you know, by the performance. And like at that time, I think Ministry was on the main stage, and Pearl Jam was there, and I think Body Count was either there or the next year. But those were some great times because the tickets were, I don't know, $25, $30.
Yeah, tickets were nothing. They would almost pay you to come back then. I see some of these Alex Cooley shows with a big promoter here in Atlanta back and that, all around. I'll see ticket stubs from him. It'd be $7 to see Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Well, those days are long gone.
Yeah. And was it last year, the year before, I went to Welcome to Rockville in Louisville because Fozzy was playing there.
Mm-hmm.
Wanted to see them. But also Metallica was there. I'd never seen them live. And so I was on the stage next to them, you know, watching more on the big screen and everything. And while I really liked them, to me it was almost too perfect.
Yeah. I've seen them numerous times, and I've had that experience, and I've had the really good ones. We went to Dallas, Texas for Ozfest one year when it was a one-off, and Metallica headlined over the top of Ozzy. Yeah. And me and the group of guys, the band Legion X, we were all out there together. We left during the middle of Metallica's set because I would still to this day put my money on it. The sound engineers were purposefully, something was going on with Metallica's set, and we were joking about it. I could hear Sharon now. Yeah, we'll let you go on after Ozzy, but we're gonna fuck your sound up. So it was really bad, and we left. And when we got in the parking lot, we heard King Diamond join them on stage, and they did all the Merciful Fate stuff, all the King Diamond stuff that they do with King Diamond on stage, and we're like, oh, I would have stuck around for that. But that was a really good one. Believe it or not, one of my best shows, Garth Brooks.
Oh.
When he came back out, I don't know, maybe 8-10 years ago, and did his big national tours, the girl I was seeing at the time wanted to go, so we went, and it blew my mind. He played for probably 3 hours, played maybe 40 songs, and 39 of them were hits. Wow. And the performance was amazing too. Do you like, when you go see some of these bigger shows, do you like it when they concentrate on the music, or do you like a big over-the-top production, Kiss style explosions and lights and theatrics?
That's more Imagine Fest for me, with all the pyrotechnics and the light show and everything. But I stopped going to big stadium shows.
Yeah.
The last two I went to, the very last one was not AC/DC. Oh, shoot, I can't even think. But it was here in Atlanta. But just the weekend before, my wife and I were down in Mexico. My nephew was getting married in Los Angeles, and so we flew up for his wedding, and Iron Maiden was playing at the stadium there in Los Angeles, and Fozzy was opening for them. So I went to that show, but it was one where I'm sitting way back, watching them on the big screen, with people waving their phones in front of your face and everything. And then, I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed seeing Fozzy, and I'd never seen Iron Maiden live, so I definitely enjoyed it. But for $250 a seat, it wasn't worth it.
Right, and like you said, you're paying these type of premiums for tickets now, and then you have a bunch of people with phones all in your face. And
yeah,
I'm just young enough to remember arena events with lighters.
Oh yeah,
and that doesn't exist anymore, does it? I think they make everybody hold their phone up now.
Yeah, everybody's got the phone out.
Got the phone light, and I've seen a few arena shows when 60,000 people do the phone. It looks cool, but there was just something so much better about the lighter, and just not the phones not being there. Period. Oh, yeah. When you were younger, what were you listening to?
Well, I started listening to music I was about 8.
Yeah,
guys like Guy Mitchell, blues singer.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a lot of country crossover singers at that time. But the first 45 I ever owned, my brother bought for me, I think I was like 12 or 13 at the time, was Frankie Avalon singing Dee Dee Dinah.
All right.
Dee Dee Dinah, you so fine. I listen to that now and I go, what a bunch of claptrap. But that was the days of Dick Clark and all of that, and it was those teen pop stars.
Right.
Then a few years later, when I was in high school, a good friend of mine, his father worked at WHK radio station, so he'd get all the promo 45s.
Oh, yeah.
All these acts. And then my first ever concert that I went to was a Teen Angel, or teen concert with the Fleetwoods. They had a song called Come Softly to Me, and it was, the harmonies. It was Gary Troxel and Gretchen, I can't think of her last name, and one of the 2 female singers. And, it was dum-dum, doo-be-doo-doo-dee-doo. And I just loved that song, and I had a crush on Heather. And I met them backstage, and Heather touched my arm, or Gretchen touched my arm, and I went home and put a Band-Aid on it.
Oh, had to save that.
Yeah, I was 13 or 14 at the time.
Oh, that's an awesome story. My mother got to kiss Donny Osmond when she was about 10 or 11 years old, and she didn't really care. She come from a large family of siblings, and she was the youngest of 7. And all my aunts, my older aunts, they were in love with him. And my sister, I don't know my mother, the reason she was there, it was happenstance. And she got her a kiss, and all my aunts were all so mad, but my mom said, I'm not ever going to watch it again. Yeah. same type of story.
Yeah, and then later when I went to college, that was when the beat scene was going on and all the folk scene.
What year was this?
This was 1963.
63.
No, 1950. Yeah, 1963. Because I went to high school 59 through 63.
All right. What did you do after high school? Then when you become your own man, you're doing your own thing?
I started going to Western Reserve University in Cleveland, and I was a country kid. We lived out in the country outside of Cleveland, farming country. And all of a sudden, I'm in a dormitory where the guys, it's women in one and men in another dormitory. We had no curfew. And there were bars where you could drink when you were 18. You could drink 3
So now all of a sudden, you're fresh off the farm, and it's time to go.
So here I was, out partying every night until 1 o'clock. I scheduled all my classes, before noon, but I never got up until 1 in the afternoon. So I almost made it through that first year, and at the end they said, son, you need to go figure out what you want to do with your life.
Time to get it together.
Yeah, and that's when I joined the service, and that's when I was forced to get it together.
And what year did you join the service?
1965.
And how long were you in?
I signed up for just 3 years because when I talked to them, I said, I only want to do 2 years. And they said, oh, no, you got to do 4. And I said, never mind. They said, wait, we got a 3-year program.
Hear me out again. All right, well.
Okay, so I enlisted for the 3 years in the Marines. And it was, let's say, an interesting 3 years. But it taught me a lot. It taught what I call stick-to-itiveness.
Yeah.
Because before then, anything was too tough, I'd say, never mind, I don't want to do that.
Right.
But then you're in a situation where you can't say that anymore.
I got some pictures pulled up from that time. You can maybe tell us a little bit about what was kind of going on in some of these pictures here.
I love this picture. This little boy. This was somewhere out in a village near the city of Chulai. And we were guarding a bridge that was being rebuilt because somebody had blown it up. And there was just myself and 2 other guys went out there with, as you see, just our rifles and just to guard the bridge. And it was pretty much just a peaceful thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a guard post we would sit at. And the kids from the neighborhood would just come and, just like, whoa, who are these guys?
Just gather around and
And in our C rations, we had M&Ms, so I'd give the kids my M&Ms.
Was this the first time that a lot of these kids had, I imagine they had any American candy and chocolates and stuff like that?
But this little boy in particular would come and sit in my lap every day. I'm so touched by this. He would come and sit in my lap every day.
And how long did you say you guys were guarding the bridge? How long were you there?
We were there, I don't know, a month maybe.
Yeah. Is that what all of these pictures here are from that same time?
That was the same time. This one, I chuckle at this one.
You got your hands full here.
I am wearing one of the kids' hats, and I'm holding 2 babies who have no diapers on, and I'm going, I pray they don't pee on me. But the kids were fascinated by us.
Yeah. And it doesn't look like they're scared or at your presence or anything, obviously. I mean, you don't look like they could be any more comfortable if they tried.
Yeah.
Everybody's smiling. Were there any people there in these villages and stuff that weren't happy to see you guys?
I'm sure there were.
But they didn't come out and voice it?
Yeah. But I tell people, kids would go by and they'd go, hey, Joe, you number 1. That's good,
Yeah.
And then other kids would go by, hey, Joe, you number 10.
You number 10.
And one kid, we were going down Highway 1 one time in a big old truck. I was sitting in the back on the bed of the truck. Kid goes by, and yells at us, "Hey, Joe, you number fucking 10,000."
That was a same deal. A friend of mine's father spoke broken English, and he was come home from work and was telling him that somebody had got into an argument with him, and somebody was running. He said, "He called me a faggot," and he was like, I didn't know what to say. I called him, "You are king of the faggots." Just that dialect, and it's just like, oh my God! I was like, yeah, what? How did this? And I'm 14 years old, just hearing this conversation, just like, oh my God. At this time, though, what were you listening to here? Please tell me CCR. That's all that I see these pictures, and you just automatically hear "Fortunate Son."
Probably, but one of the bands that I really remember, and now I'm forgetting it, but I'll think of it. One of the guys in our company had a friend in San Francisco who was a DJ, and he would send reel-to-reel tapes of music, and but yes, CCR was one. Unfortunate Son.
But they were sending you guys tapes over there and stuff to listen to, or
yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you had somebody sending you stuff out. Well, who was the resident DJ on the bass? Who was the one who would really put it out and put it, or was it just kind of everybody doing their own thing?
It was our Al, the company clerk, and we would just come in and his tent and listen to it.
Did you ever actually see any real action and have to go out into the shit, as they would say?
Yeah, minor. I was in a supply company, so and this is one of the misconceptions of the war. For every fighting soldier, there's 7 or 8 support guys.
Oh wow! Yeah.
So in the Army, if you're in a support role, you don't go out and fight. Period. But in the Marines, we all had to do night patrols. They call them search and destroy missions. But it was a small part of the 13 months that I was there.
Yeah.
And got shot at a few times, but nothing ever really serious. It was a couple of years. I was fortunate. I say to people, I was fortunate. I was in the early part of LBJ's big buildup.
Mm-hmm.
When I checked into Camp Lejeune, or Camp Pendleton, California, I actually had orders to go to Okinawa, but they changed them on the spot to Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
And they did that to everybody up to the rank of major. So I was there checking in, and there were guys that were looking to get back to see their girlfriends in Japan or Okinawa or somewhere else in the Far East. And everybody, you're going to Vietnam. And I turned 21 my very first day in country. And as we were landing, we flew into Da Nang, which is north of there, and then caught a C-130 down. As we were landing at night, the base was coming under fire.
Oh, wow.
And so we actually had to jump out of a moving plane and go find sandbags and stuff to get behind. And I thought, what they told us was true. We don't have long to live. But then nothing happened for like at least 30 days. And that's the way it was. The snipers would come in, do something, and they'd run and hide, and,
almost like a game of tag.
Yeah, but later on, it got pretty intense. The guys that came later caught a lot of crap. Mine was not a vacation, but it was not intense, shall we say?
Right, gotcha. I was looking through your social media stuff, and I seen in '69 you had a time you went and lived in Tokyo.
Oh yeah.
Tell us about that. So
I'd gotten out of the service. My wife and I were living, my first wife, and we're good friends to this day. Her name's Mickey. I talked to her yesterday, as a matter of fact. Got out of the service and was living in Garden Grove, California. And at that time, she was working at Lear Sigler in their Anaheim plant, where they built fuselages for 707s, 727s, whatever the plane was at that time. And I went to take her to lunch, and there was a recruiter there who was recruiting for overseas positions. And he said, I met him, his name was Tex, and he said, how would you like to go to Vietnam? And I said, no thanks, just got back.
Right.
And he said, how would you like to go to Japan? And my eyes lit up. And I turned to Mickey, I said, can we go?
Yeah.
And she said, yeah. And we got this opportunity to go to Tachikawa Air Force Base, and I saw how the Air Force lived later, and I thought, man, I should have joined the Air Force. But that base was just outside of Tokyo, and we used to take the train into downtown Tokyo a lot.
Yeah. How long were you there?
Just a year, because Mickey became pregnant with our son Joe, who will be 53 on September 10th. And we decided time to head back to the States and have the baby there and get reestablished. And that's when we ended up in Florida.
While you were in Tokyo in Japan, did you get to experience any live music? What was going on then at the time?
No.
Or because I know now there's a big doo-wop rockabilly scene in Japan and stuff.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah, and it would have been interesting to see. But I know it's such a different time 50 years ago then compared to what it is now.
But it was fascinating. You know, I learned some Japanese, just enough to get by.
Have you held on to any of that?
A few words. You know?
Yeah.
And but anymore with our travels, everybody makes it too easy. You know, we were just 2 months in Portugal. Everybody spoke English.
Right.
So, you know, in a way, you don't have to learn the language. But, yeah, we had some great experiences there. And it was one where we worked 6 days a week, and then we had Sundays off. So on Sunday, we went with another couple. We'd catch a train into Tokyo and go do different things. We went to the Great Buddha at Kamakura.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, it was just an experience for young people. It was just a great experience.
So when you came to Florida and started your family and started doing that, what kind of work were you doing when you got back here into the States then?
I was fortunate enough in that someone connected me with, you know, with a person who was really helpful, got me interested to enroll at St. Pete Junior College in Clearwater, where I took computer programming, and also connected me with somebody at General Telephone, where I worked as a night warehouseman, worked at night, and went to school daytime on the GI Bill.
All right, living the dream.
Yeah.
Get it done.
Yeah, and I took computer programming in that 2-year course that I then parlayed into a 4-year degree at University of South Florida. But those skills have lasted me all my life. I've been involved in programming, business intelligence, design, and all that for over 50 years.
Is that job of within the job, is that what allows you to do as much traveling, or is that just something that's an effect of doing that stuff?
It gives me extra money to be able to do
but
that.
you don't have to travel and go, you'll pick up jobs that require traveling and
you know, when I was working for one of the companies, and I had my own business for 13 years. I did accounting software for law firms in Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, and that was an interesting time. I met a lot of interesting, you know, people. But later I said, you know, I gotta quit working for my employees and get a real job. And that's when I came up to Atlanta. And it took me 3 hops, but I landed with a small firm out of Hyannis, Massachusetts, in a sales role, technical sales role, that then spanned 22 years. And in that technical sales role, traveled all over the country, a lot of interesting places, a lot of, you know, industries that you wouldn't even think existed in this country.
Yeah. Traveling is, the older I get, is the one thing I realize that's probably the wealth of the world.
Yeah.
One can do for oneself.
Yeah. And then while I was with the Infinium company, one year I said to one of the sales guys who traveled extensively, it was Christmas time, and I said, if you were to go anywhere right now, where would you go? And he thought about it, and he says, Vienna. So that was my first kind of solo trip by myself, where I just went, and I went to, you know, the Christmas market, and I just went all over the place in Vienna. Absolutely loved it. And then from there, you know, took a solo trip to China, took a solo trip down to Patagonia, and years later, and also just a couple weeks, it'll be 18 years from the day I met my wife on eHarmony. And two of the things that drew us together on our profiles was love of music and love of travel.
Yeah.
So the traveling we have definitely done, you know.
Yeah, and that's what I see. Once again, I see the pictures you post all the time, and that's even what I'm going to be listing the episode as: music lover and avid travel enthusiast. Yeah. And the experiences that it seems that you and Paula get to have are amazing. It's such a beautiful thing. What's the difference to you, or I guess do you enjoy traveling by yourself on a grandiose vacation like that more or less, or indifferent to with a partner and somebody?
Oh, you know, traveling with Paula, absolutely, you know. But back when I was single, and the amazing thing was I was never alone unless I wanted to be.
Well, and that's something that if you're an outgoing person, I think that's something you learn. Because I was telling somebody that the other day. I was getting ready to go to a show by myself, and they said, "You're going to go by yourself?" I said, "I'm not. You're only alone till you get there."
Yeah. And you know, I used to be pretty much an introvert.
Yeah.
And I was also known for the longest time when I lived up in Canton. Who's that guy over there reading a book? Well, that's Carl. He just comes in and he reads his book.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I would do. I'd meet people, but I, you know, pretty much stayed to myself. But it really was this connection with music and meeting people and meeting musicians, meeting fans and talking about their experiences and everything and getting to know these people.
Yeah.
You know, it's just been so enriching.
Meeting people and bonding over music is one of the deepest rooted bonds that I know we can have. I've discussed it on the podcast so many times now with other musicians and people, in a sense that, like, you ever play with a band that you don't really care for their music that much, and then you meet the guys and you fall in love with the band and, you know, their families and everybody, and then you're like, I actually like the band now. I don't even know why. That's not even stuff I'm into, but it can. So with that being said, you said you were a blues guy. When did the change come over for you to start liking heavier stuff? Or is it the fact that you were meeting so many people that drew you into the opportunities of it?
Yeah, that had quite a bit to do with it. But there was always a side of me. It's like I think about the first Black Sabbath album. You know, to me that was transformational. It's like, wow, this thing is amazing. It was done 50-some years ago. And I saw...
Were you aware of that album when it came out? It was on your radar?
I bought it, yeah.
Awesome. That's
for $3.98. And believe it or not, I have it. It's sitting in my office right now because Jeff Langston still hasn't picked it up. I've set it aside for him because I saw Black Sabbath do the 50-year anniversary of the Black Sabbath album.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you can get with that. He's waiting on you. So who are some of your favorites in the Atlanta scene that you like to support and get on? I know that's a wide question because you support everybody. But who are some standouts that you're really enjoying?
Well, and that is a tough question because I don't like to slight anybody.
Right, yeah.
And so quite often it's like, well, who did I see last?
Yeah, that's always a good way to go for it.
But, you know, some of the bands that I have a closer connection with, it's like the guys in Fractured and Silver Cell and Voltage Head.
Yep.
Real close to all of them and seen a lot of their shows. And Sherry, their manager, and who's with Iron Gate Records, she's helped to, you know, pull us all together.
Gotcha.
I just recently at Mad Life, I saw Greg Shaddix and the Back Row Baptists.
Oh, wow, that's a mouthful.
And they're a country, what do they label themselves, a country rock band or something like that.
Right.
A lot of fun. It was Greg and Gerbo Fody and Roger Brainerd and Sasha Swetlowski and, you know, good group. Last week, who did I see? I don't know, you know.
Man, like I said, anybody that's the majority of the people that watch this are usually Atlanta folks, and everybody's going to be excited to see you on here and going to be like, yeah, we see Carl everywhere. I'm sure you have a hard time remembering, 10 shows on average?
Yeah.
You said, man, that's
Yeah, and what I do is I keep a list on my calendar on my phone, and then as I get close, I go, okay, it's more of who am I not going to see.
So you log in and kind of that way you can keep up with your calendar. When you see a date announced, you throw it on the calendar.
Yeah.
Do you log and document on the shows that you attend and have a list going to keep up with that?
No.
Yeah, that's too much work. It would be interesting though to see your list though, as many shows as you do go to.
And I thought about doing it at one time just to keep track, because sometimes, I'll see a band. I go, where did I see them? Who did I see? But just to give you an idea, this weekend, bring it up here on my calendar. Let's see. Friday, we have Boner Fest with my friends from the gas station Boner Pills.
I've always loved that name.
Yeah, that's at Smith, along with the Vaginas and the Chodes and the Grounds Crew. I know all those guys.
Yeah.
The Chodes, I met them out at Sweetwater. And the funny story about that, I went to Sweetwater to see gas station Boner Pills because I fell in love with that name, and I thought, I got to see who these guys are. So I had a T-shirt from the Chodes show. And I didn't even know what a Chode was until one of my sons told me. So I thought, okay, this is a good shirt to wear to the Boner, see the Boner Pills.
Yeah.
So I got there before the music started. I went in the men's room, and there was a guy just there washing his hands, getting ready. And he looks and he says, hey, nice shirt. And I said, yeah. I said, I wore this, because of the Boner Pills tonight. And he says, well, I'm the bass player. And it was Misha.
Hey. That's awesome. That should be a good show. The guys in the Vaginas, I go back with those guys for a while. They're always put on an amazing show.
Yeah, and then Babbler, their friends, they're playing at Sweetwater, and there's a couple other bands. And then my friend Tyler from Half Hot, they have a single release at Boggs. At Boggs, along with Warsaw Clinic, and those guys are friends in Warsaw Clinic, so I'm definitely going to get by to see.
And you will try to attend as many of these as possible, and we swing through.
Yeah, and then Michael Myers messaged me today and said, "Hey, I'm playing at 11 o'clock at Star Bar."
Yeah, Star. That's a show I'm bringing to town, and we're going to be doing. That's going to be a fun one. A very synth night, a lot of 80s RoboCop sounding shit.
and then Saturday, this one's here's one I'm definitely gonna go. See, I'm wearing Terminus Hate City. I love Jay.
Jay's my boy.
But this is at Star Bar, and they got the Chodes again, Tombtones, Handicapitalists, and I can't remember who else.
Yeah, that's going to be a part of their punk rock flea market. Is
Yeah.
that what that? Yeah, that's going to be a great event all the way around.
Yeah, and then at Furnace 41, I love going down there. Got friends in the Battle Wax and Vanity Cult.
Mm-hmm.
And the last time that Vanity Cult played there, it was one of their festivals, with things going on in 3 stages.
Right.
And I miss them playing. It's very young people in that band, and I would love to support them.
Right.
Because the daughter is, the young girl is the daughter of Drew Ashworth, who's a blues singer. So want to get that, but that's a trek down there and back. And then let's see who else at Smith's is the Ides of June. They're all friends, are doing their new album Rising Tide.
Wow. Yeah.
So
plenty of options, plenty of stuff, and
so I know I'm going to miss something.
Yeah, we can't get to them all. But once again, I mean, I don't think there's anybody out there that's attending as many shows as you are. You're definitely putting up the numbers and doing such a great job supporting everybody. Yeah. And just every time I see it, I'll see you at a show over in the corner. Everybody's smiling. You're saying hello to everybody. Everybody wants to come by, say hello, kiss the ring, if you will. And everybody's got to get their picture with Carl. Yeah. And hey, and it's such a great thing to see.
And it's so heartwarming for me. And when people, they'll say the legend, and I go, more like a Kardashian.
No,
famous for being famous.
Well, that's the way the world is nowadays. But like with Slaughter Q and things like that, I had numerous vendors come work, and then like my father, whenever he first brought his girlfriend to the show, She was in her 60s, and I've heard this same story from numerous people. I was a little worried and anxious about coming to one of these heavy metal events. Didn't really know much about it other than what I've seen on TV and stuff like that. And I got here and I started seeing people with big holes in their ears and tattoos on their throats and bolts in their nose, spiking hair and cuss words on their shirts. Yeah. Then everybody's smiling, everybody's hugging each other. Yeah. Everybody's coming up being very, very respectful. So, and I've heard that story echo so many times. So that's whenever I see you at shows, I know it's like everybody, the heavy metal community welcomes all. And anytime we see somebody who doesn't typically fit the mold, we get excited. You like what we like? Yeah. That's great. Come on.
Well, and I've had, young guys say to me, I just love it that you're here because my father never came to one of my shows.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough. My father has always came here and there when he's got time. He doesn't get it; it's not his thing, but he will come out.
Yeah, and it's interesting how you mentioned it because at one time I would have said, oh, the blues people are the most wonderful people, and then I got into the metal and I said, oh, the metal people, and then I got into the punk, and it's like, wow, the punk. But right now there's a certain amount of drama that's going on in the punk scene.
There has been, and
it's a little bit troubling for me. I kind of stay out of the fray. Accusations have been thrown, and I'm friends with both sides, and it's like I'm not going to judge.
Yeah, no, but I've been watching that from afar as well, and it's hopefully as their own small community within our community, they can get it all together, everybody get on the same page, and get that kind of stuff knocked out. Because we ain't gonna have time for that for sure.
Yeah, and one of the things, I used to love to go down to Sabbath Brewing, and then that thing happened there, and all of a sudden they're shut down, and my hope there was with whoever the owner is would sell to somebody else, and they would reopen because it's such a great draw.
Yeah, the problem with that place was, though, we as a community were lucky to have it when we did. He kind of snuck the venue in there. The community there did not want another venue. There's 529s there, and there used to be, 20 years ago there was the Echo Lounge. Okay. But all those Lawson people don't want a venue there, and he had a brewery license, and he didn't mention that he was going to do live music essentially. Okay. Kind of, and with the brewery license, he was allowed to do live music. He snuck it in there. So now, even though I think even him. Maybe if he would have just transferred the business to somebody, they could have kept it going. But its days got numbered pretty quick. But it is a shame because it was a great draw, and the most importantly, it was all ages. Yeah, and then the Catacombs, the same thing. Kind of, it's a shame to see the kids losing these venues because there's only so many places that underage shows can happen. Yeah,
and the Catacombs is reopened, but I noticed that it's no local acts. It seems to be all
touring
town acts. But that's the first time I went there, and that was like an eye opener for me. And it was just wow. I went because Dayglow Morning was playing, and they said, "Oh, we're going to be at the Catacombs." So I map it out, and I drive, and I'm looking all around, looking for a
venue
building,
a brick and mortar place.
And I see people up in the trees talking. I go, "Oh!" So I parked my car and I walked up. And it was Joe and Ray and Jeremy talking. And that night I met Jake from Rotten Stitches and a number of other people. And also that night was two bands from Ohio playing, Weed Demon.
Okay, yeah.
And it was the Maharaja. And I met all of those guys. And at one point we're sitting in the side room, sitting in the sofa, all just talking, and and I was like, wow, it was very much a altering event for me.
Yeah, I bet, thinking going to a brick and mortar venue you've never attended and showing up at a gutter punk house party. Yeah. I bet it was a little, but I never was able to attend any shows. I had a few booked by the time that everything imploded on it. But the pictures I seen and the video footage I seen, look, they were having a blast out there.
Yeah, and the mosh, it was a mosh line because that's inside anyway. And then outside, there was always people throwing fireworks and
Yeah, it was just a debauchery.
stuff.
What
Yeah.
I think it's exactly what a crusty punk house venue is supposed to
Yeah.
be. Very dangerous. Perfect scenario. What, didn't it butt up to the interstate?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it was
the
in the backyard.
Yeah, that's the perfect scenario for that kind of wildness. I was lucky enough to have worked with the Masquerade for so many years
Oh, yeah.
in helping underage bands and it being an all ages thing and we had three rooms over at that venue. So working there early on and I took it for granted on the all ages point of things for a while.
Yeah.
And I still work with the Masquerade and work at all these other venues now, but I realize now with all the other ones, oh man, these kids don't have anywhere to play. But there are some new venues in underground Atlanta.
Yeah, Inner Space, is that one of
Yeah,
them?
that's one of them. And then there's Mom Said It's Fine is the name of another one down there. I believe that they're art galleries that are doubling as DIY venues.
Okay.
But still, they're offering a place for these younger bands to play again.
Yeah, 'cause Inner Space, they just announced one, I think Evil Intent's playing there,
Yeah.
and Actus Reus, I think. I'm trying to think who all the different bands. Dirty Holly.
Yeah, I know the Evil Intent cats. I know you befriended them.
Yeah.
We've been trying to put something together for them, but they're one of the ones that fall into that. A vast majority of their crowd is underage, and you want to be able to put on a quality show and bring them in there. And yeah, I'll probably have to come out to that. I haven't seen that announced yet. That's going to be a good one. Hopefully we see you at the Michael Myers show. That's coming this Friday. Like I said,
Well, I'll definitely be there.
that's a Sid Hall Presents show. We'll hopefully see you out there. I want to thank you for coming by. It's been great to catch up, get to know a little more about the legend. But I just, for the Atlanta metal scene and music scene in general, I want to, on behalf of all of us, thank you, Carl.
Well, thank you for having me.
It means a lot to see to see you at all these shows, and it's something for all of us to aspire to good health, good money, and experiences, and still doing cool shit when you get a little older.
Oh, yeah.
And
Not older in my case, but
well, you're wearing it well.
yeah.
And it's in so much experience and so much travel, such a cool stories and things like that, and more to come for sure.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Right on, man. I appreciate it, and we'll see you guys on the next go around.